I just came back from an epic mushroom trip, and in this video, I want to talk about some of the things I've noticed repeat across all my trips. Patterns, symbols. We're going to talk about the holographic reality, escaping the default mode network, unlocking the suppression circuitry in your brain, accessing the God mode of your reality, taking the limitless pill, and much more. So stay tuned till the end because there's a lot of juicy, shroomy insights in this video. So let's dive into my 6 favorite aspects of mushrooms. Number 1, we've got to talk about the 3D. Anyone who's done DMT or mushrooms knows what I'm talking about. When you're tripping, everything becomes more 3D than 3D. It's almost like you get access to this holographic reality. This is especially apparent on DMT, but ever since doing DMT, it's also come up on mushrooms for me. It's one of the most fascinating parts for me because of how consistent it is. Every time I trip, it's exactly the same geometric patterns showing up across reality. It feels to me as if I'm tuning into the raw substrate layer of reality that's underneath the default mode network. It feels like what I'm seeing on mushrooms are the raw pixels. That's the true reality. Whereas what we see in our day-to-day life is more like a painting or a dream. It's painted in a little bit. And I think it's because if we were seeing the raw reality all the time, we literally would not be able to get anything done. We would just be fascinated by the lights and the energy and the frequency of things rather than playing the video game of life. But on mushrooms, you are seeing the frequency. You're seeing the hidden patterns in everything. You're essentially seeing the zeros and ones of reality. One of the reasons I believe that we live in a hologram, some sort of illusion for the soul, is because I see it all the time on mushrooms. And it feels more real than reality. It feels like what I'm seeing on mushrooms is the true layer of reality. And maybe there's layers underneath. Certainly on DMT, it feels like you go several layers deeper than mushrooms. Maybe on Bufo or 5-MeO DMT, you go to the very source layer, which is where you connect with God, the all that is, the infinite. So I think there's levels to this, but mushrooms are such an easy gateway to the first few layers underneath reality. And then DMT takes you further. And then Bufo takes you even further. It's always been one of the most fascinating parts for me, just studying the way reality changes, the way it morphs, and that it's not random. Every time it's the same patterns, the same type of visuals. I almost feel like a scientist going with my magnifying glass and looking at reality through the mushroom eyes and being able to study it. It's such a blessing to be able to see reality in such a raw form that we usually don't get to see in our waking life. Another thing I noticed visually about mushrooms is everything becomes more orderly on mushrooms. So in our day-to-day life, you have the artificial world with the hard edges, and you have the natural world with curves and flowy lines, like if you compare a tree to a building. But on mushrooms, it feels like both worlds unite, and there's a geometric cohesiveness to everything, both the artificial world and the natural world. It's as if you're on a Wes Anderson movie set. Everything is symmetrical. Everything has a certain beauty to it. Even things that would normally look chaotic or messy, there's a sense of orderliness on mushrooms. That's really special to see, and I wish everyone could experience that. Number 2, access to fresh thinking. This is my favorite part of the mushrooms. Mushrooms unlock fresh thinking. See, in our day-to-day life, we become habituated to certain patterns, certain ways of thinking. And the older you get, the more habituated your thinking becomes, generally speaking. We just know too much, and that can be a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you have a lot of experience. You have wisdom that you've gained through life, and that informs your decisions and it informs how you navigate life wisely. But it can also be a disadvantage because you lose the ability to see things with fresh eyes. What the mushrooms do so well is they give you the fresh eyes. I think a lot of insights on mushrooms come from just that quality. The ability to look at your life delineated from your past without bringing all the baggage and the cruft of your habitual thinking to your experience, but to be able to see your challenges and your blessings through completely fresh eyes. This gives you fresh perspectives, it gives you insights, it gives you the ability to find new solutions. This is why I get so excited before a mushroom trip, because although I don't know what's going to happen, I know that I'm going to see things with fresh thinking and that it will illuminate to me things that I've forgotten, things that I've not seen, obvious things that my habitual default mode network is not allowing me to see. Number 3, unlocking the inner suppression circuitry of your brain. So in our day-to-day life, we are operating in our default mode network. Every day you have thousands of thoughts and thousands of ideas for potential actions you could take. But most of those ideas you're suppressing or rejecting. So if you've ever had the thought of, I should call that friend. And then the next thought is, nah, maybe not. Maybe they don't want to hear from me. Or if you've ever had the thought of, I should start this business. And the next thought is, nah, that's a little bit too risky. That's suppression in action. Most of your ideas, even when they're good, your brain is going to try to shut down. It's going to try to protect you. It's going to try to keep you safe, keep you on the habitual track. And what mushrooms do is they unlock that suppression circuitry. So no longer you're suppressing every single idea. Now you're activating ideas. Now you're able to follow through on ideas. And I noticed this especially in the first few hours after the mushroom trip ends. I'm so open-minded. Any insight or fresh idea that I had on the mushroom trip, I'm ready to act on it immediately. And that effect continues to the next morning, and it generally continues for a week or 2 weeks. Not as strong as the first day, but for the next 2 weeks, I'm more open-minded. I'm more willing to say yes. It's like that movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey. The mushrooms put you in the yes mode. The mushrooms churn down the hesitation and they churn up the yes. Yes, go for it. Yes, you can do it. There's a feeling of flow. There's a feeling of being unblocked. That is one of my favorite parts of the mushrooms. They completely unblock me. And for 1 or 2 weeks, you get this extraordinary magic flow in your life. And if you integrate the lessons, if you practice that state, you can actually extend it beyond the 2 weeks. You can start to have these months and seasons of flow. Imagine you're hiking through a forest and you come to a fork in the road and there's 2 trails. One of the trails you've walked thousands of times. The other trail is foreign. It's new to you. Your brain is going to habitually choose the familiar trail. But after a mushroom trip, you're more open-minded. You're more willing to explore the new opportunities, the new ideas. And this is actually the part of mushrooms that is life-changing. 1 week of making new decisions can completely change your life. One idea that you say yes to could completely change the trajectory of your life. So this is not a small thing. This is actually perhaps the biggest change that the mushrooms actually instigate in your life is they allow you to say yes to life. They allow you to say yes to the opportunities. They allow you to churn down the fears, the hesitation, the lack of decisiveness, and they allow you to step into the greater you. These are the decisions that change your life, the new and unfamiliar. When your suppression circuitry is unlocked and you're able to just say yes to things, that's when your life changes. And that's been one of the biggest benefits of mushrooms for me. Number 4, the limitless pill. Taking mushrooms feels to me like the limitless pill from the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper. Or if you've ever watched the movie Lucy, where she expands her brain's ability to perceive and to hold more information. That's exactly what mushrooms feel like. It literally feels like getting access to limitless thinking, limitless intelligence, limitless downloads, connection to the universal mind, where you can get ideas that would never come to you in your sober state, but you're tuned in, turned on, plugged into source, and now these ideas are torrenting, downloading into your system. The way my brain is able to synthesize, process information, and download information is on another level. I would describe it as operating from God mode. So in your day-to-day life, you're operating from your human mode, your avatar level. It's like you're a character in a video game. But for a few glorious hours on mushrooms, you get access to God mode. You're able to see the entire game. You're able to access different timelines and how certain decisions you make now are going to impact your future. You're able to get access to intelligence beyond the game's borders. Instead of merely being a character in your video game, you now get access to the controls. Now, it's only for 4 to 6 hours. You don't get to stay in God mode. And so one of the challenges that people can experience is integrating. When they come back from this high-flying experience and they've seen it all and they know it all, but now they're back in their human mode, how do you take those lessons and insights and integrate them? And that's the work after a mushroom trip. You want to learn what you can during the mushroom trip and take a piece of it back to your human mode. Any lesson that you can directly apply to your life, any action you can take to solidify the insights, that's the work after a mushroom trip. That's integration. And if you need help with integration, I do offer one-on-one guidance, which you can check out at jamesxander.com. The challenge is bringing God mode knowledge back to your human mode. See, the mushrooms give you 4 to 6 hours of God mode. The work is then to integrate it when you're back down to earth. And now you're operating in human mode again. And you have to remember the lessons, the insights, and the downloads and apply them as your human self. And so the key is to maintain that frequency that you experienced for 6 hours and bring a piece of it back with you. And as much as possible, you want to operate from that knowing, that conviction that you experienced in God mode. You want to bring that conviction back to your human mode and operate from that expanded self in your day-to-day life. Number 5, clearing out the RAM. I love this about mushrooms. They are amazing housekeepers. Every time I do mushrooms, it feels like my system has been reset. My RAM has been cleared. The cache has been cleared. In our day-to-day life, we pile on so much baggage and so much cruft and so much old thoughts and habits. And I feel like the mushrooms do such a good job of clearing the mental clutter and also the physical clutter and the digital clutter. I find that I am so motivated to clear out my home and my digital space after a mushroom trip. It's almost like the mushrooms are guiding me and they're saying, you don't need this, delete this, get rid of this. They want focus. They want clarity. They want to guide you to more simplicity. I find myself highly sensitive after a mushroom trip to all the old things that no longer resonate, that are holding me back, that in my default mode, I may not be as quick to get rid of them or to delete them. But after a mushroom trip, there's this sense of delete, 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 simplify, get rid of the old, make space for the new. It's like clearing out your cache or clearing the RAM of your computer, closing all the old browser tabs, closing all the apps, and then everything starts running more smoothly. Mushrooms like clean thinking, no messiness. Number 6, conviction and belief. Mushrooms infuse me with extra levels of conviction and belief. Belief in my vision, belief in myself, belief in my goals. That is a priceless gift from the mushrooms. This ties into the God mode that I was talking about earlier. On the mushrooms, you get access to extraordinary levels of conviction. You see your vision. You see the future timeline, your highest destiny. The mushrooms infuse you with the knowing that it will happen, the knowing that you can get there. It's like the mushrooms are telling you, just keep going. Keep going. Here are the lessons. Here are the clues. Keep following the breadcrumbs of clues from reality, and you're going to reach your goal. You just know that things are going to work out. In fact, sometimes you literally see it. You see the vision of the future play out in your imagination on the mushroom trip. You see all the possible timelines, all the decisions you have to make. And then you come back down to your human mode, and then you actually have to make those decisions, make those hard choices, be disciplined, keep going, persist. What the mushrooms give you is they give you that renewed sense of clarity, renewed sense of conviction, and renewed sense of belief. Belief in yourself and belief in your mission. Conviction is the key. It's everything. If you know it will happen, it will. If you believe it, you will have it. This applies to everything you're going for in life. You have to believe 1,001% in what you're doing. And reality will match your conviction. It'll match your belief. You've got to hold on to the frequency of conviction, of absolute faith, of absolute belief in yourself, in your goals, in your vision, and in your mission. Believe 1,000% in what you're doing. You've got to act from a place of absolute conviction and faith that what you're doing is bringing you closer to your destiny. So that's the lesson I'll leave you with. Let me know what your favorite aspects of mushrooms are. What benefits and patterns and symbols have you noticed in your psychedelic journeys? Let me know in the comments. For more shroomy videos, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. I also run a podcast called The James Xander Trip. That's on my second channel. Please check that out and subscribe to it as well. It means the world to me. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.